Hey, good day and welcome to this submission video. I am Blue and I will be talking and playing Celeste any percent current patch. The plan for the run is to race this together with Sight, as I believe it's a better showcase to have two feeds of the game open at the same time, since stuff happens so fast that it's sometimes better to get a second look at it if there's a difference between the two runners, of course. So it's also good to highlight difference in playstyle and how easy it is to mess up in some places. The estimate I'm gonna put for this race is 40 minutes, and that's broad. I think that's generous, and that should cover everything. Even if someone has a complete breakdown in the run, they should not finish over 40 minutes ever. So Celeste, of course, the game came out last January. It's a big hit among speedrunners, and I think since this June has been the most active speedrun on SRC or speedrun.com, and it still is as the date of recording this submission, which is October 30th. So we're gonna go through the run, and I'm just gonna talk about how the game works and pretend we're already live streaming it. And yeah, so enjoy the run. I'm gonna try to slight disclaimer, actually, it's really hard to play and commentate this run, so I'm expecting a bunch of red splits, since it's just hard to focus on talking and playing because the game's demanding a lot of focus. So let's see how it goes. So we're playing a precision platformer with 3 mechanics, 2 of which are available in Prologue, which are climbing and jumping. Okay, that was bad. That was a save. Every time we jump, we're actually slightly faster than run speed, so we're gonna jump as much as possible to save a few frames each jump. And then the boring part, aka Prologue, is over. And we're ready to start using dashes. So the game is all about conserving your momentum, and the main dash mechanics that we use reflect that really well, since we're gonna dash and then jump in order to get what we call a dash jump, which gives us some extra momentum and height. And if we dash diagonal down and jump, it's called a hyper dash, which gives us more momentum but less height. You can also dash and then wall jump in order to get what we call a wall bounce. You see it right here. And in this room, for example, that's a wall bounce. And it just allows us to climb vertically really well. And in this room, you'll see me do an extended, well, not that. You'll see me do an extended hyper there, which means that after using my hyper dash, I delay the jump long enough that I actually get my dash back. So we have an extra dash to use. And sometimes looks like you're cheating and using 2 dashes, but you're actually not. In this room is another one, another extended dash there. So I could use that extra dash to do fun stuff, because we normally only get that. You only get dashes back by touching the floor after a dash or going in a screen transition. So we're actually gonna abuse that screen transition dash refresh a few times here, as it's also pretty good. Here we see some neutral wall jumps, which means that if you don't press a direction while wall jumping, you actually don't go far from the wall, meaning you can go back to the wall and climb without consuming stamina. So I was able to climb the wall indefinitely if I wanted to. So chapter 1 was already finished, pretty short, pretty sweet. We're already using all the mechanics that are available to us. And chapter 2 is no different, as we'll just be using a bunch of hypers here. And going down into unlocking the main mechanic of this chapter, which are the dream blocks, after we make a dumb death, because why not? And there we go, we have dream blocks now. And dream blocks are pretty fun. You dash through them, And then you get spit out at the other side, and you have your dash backs. So they make you go really fast. And they make you let you do fun stuff. However, you gotta come out at a space with air, because if there's a wall, you just get squished, and you won't survive that. This is the Battle Line Chase, where a copy of us, with some story implications that we're not going to go into, chases us with a 3-second delay. So since we're so fast, we don't really care about her. However, there are a few portions in this chase where there's actually a moment where you have to backtrack, such as this room. So we have to devise a strategy to break it and get through without getting hurt. Because everything is an instant kill. There we go, we get these coin switches to open the door. And we're done with the chase, and now we're heading into Awake. So, coming up in Awake, you're gonna see a few ultra dashes. And ultra dashes are when you do a hyper dash, so a down diagonal dash. And then you follow it up with another hyper. Well, no, I mean, you follow it up with another down diagonal dash immediately. And this, since your speed is uncapped, you just keep adding momentum to that dash, such as you see here. And you're gonna see one over there, if I do it right. Yep, I did. Get stuck on that corner, that's unfortunate. Still okay, chapter 2. So yeah, that's chapter 2. The first 2 chapters are quite short. So the real challenge of the run is gonna come in chapter 3, the first roadblock, as you will, as we enter the Celestial Resort, where there's a bunch of these dust creatures that you'll see. There's some dust here and here mostly. And what they will do is they will run on cycles. So this is a cycle-based chapter. And the thing with cycles in this game is if you die, the respawn animation takes some time, and thus the cycle will be off when you respawn, which we call a death cycle. I did not want to grab there. So you want to learn the entry cycle, of course, when you enter the screen. But in some screens it's wise to have a death cycle as a backup. I did not get my dash back there. That was kind of bad. There we go. So you want to, you know, find some ways to skip cycles. The next room is going to be quite fun to see. Just like that room when done well. And here we'll see a corner boost, if I got it. No, I missed it. So a corner boost is when you hold grab and then climb jump. So you jump. We gotta save this. You jump on the upper edge of a corner and vault over the corner. And this maintains your momentum while you go over that corner and actually adds a little bit to it. And that's called a corner boost, and it's used a few times, and wherever we can add corner boost to just go slightly faster, it's usually worth it. As we enter a huge mess here. This place is literally a mess, kinda cramped, not really as fun to do. But we're gonna clean it up, don't worry. As we have 3 branching paths here to traverse. And each path will remove one item, either boxes, books, or towels. This should be boxes. Should be boxes. And the order in the rooms is determined on how close the exit is to Oshiro. Since Oshiro is always in the same spot, we want to be close to him and talk to him. Mr. Oshiro here, hotel owner. But yeah, we're just gonna use our movement here to navigate these cycles and try to get some cycle skips going. This one is somewhat tight. There we go, got a cycle skip there. Gonna skip the right side of that level here as well. And arrive at the second button. So as we're finishing up Huge Mess in the last section, there's another kind of hard room with a tough cycle, which isn't this room, but the room after this. this room. There we go, got it. And now we're done with the mess. And we're out of here. So, the next checkpoint, the elevator shaft, has a bunch of long rooms and was kind of just there. But with recent tech discoveries, that is, at the time of this video, just 2 weeks old. There's a way to skip a portion of it. And we'll find out in the next room, actually. And it's abusing the fact that we can actually crouch dash by, and then that means that we can dash while shrinking our hitbox to 4 pixels. And there's a spot here in the wall where the dust bunnies are actually exactly 4 pixels apart. So if we find the perfect pixel, we can actually dash through. I'm not saving time anymore because but again, it's pixel perfect. Just 1 pixel too low each time here. Come on. I was able to get this. This is really annoying that I'm not getting this. There we go. And the crouch dash is called a demo dash. Named after the guy who found it. So that trick is kind of hard. However, since it's pixel perfect and you have only a few frames to work with. However, it saves 12 seconds if done first try. And this allows you to fail it 4 times before you actually start losing time. So I did lose time there. But it's still a really nice skip. Since personally I wasn't too good at the section below it anyway. So, you know, this is a better substitute for me. Now we're in the Oshiro boss fight. Mr. Oshiro is gonna lock on us, shoot a lightning bolt and chase us down. So we have to deal with his cycle as well, since it's a set cycle of attacks. Thankfully, it isn't too hard to find those cycles that you want. As we're now in the last room, which is the longest room and the hardest room. So I'm hoping to get the entry cycle here. That would save me a lot of time. Nice, and we got the entry cycle. So overall, a decent resort. So yeah, the demo dash spot and huge mess are both quite big roadblocks, and then there's even the boss fight as well, which this is really time sensitive. There, you can see many races or runs being decided in chapter 3. Now into chapter 4, we have some clouds and some bubbles. These bubbles shoot us at a dash length and give us dash speed, so I can actually wall bounce while in a bubble, interestingly enough. Nice, I got that skip. And they give you your dash back. We have these pink clouds, they disappear after using them, but the clouds are like trampolines. Pretty self-explanatory. So the main mechanic of this chapter is the wind and these bubbles. And the clouds, of course, but it's quite a technical chapter if you want to do it fast. So there's some interesting stuff to see. There we go. But the stuff after this auto-scroller here. So we're gonna do an auto-scroller skip here, and after this is just the rest of the level, and you could technically do a few donations if there's time. Because by now the main tech is kind of explained, there's not really much news apart from the gimmicks of the level. So you have time to read out some stuff or comment on the race or how the race is going. Ooh. That's a good save. That's a really good save, actually. I'm glad I saved that. So next up is another auto-scrollery type section. since these arrow blocks basically function as auto-scrollers, since we have to use them. Okay. If you're a TAS, you can skip this, but we're not a TAS, so we're gonna keep going. Where's my... Okay, that was really bad. Whatever. So that was a really slow death, obviously, since I have to wait for the block to come again. Thank you, come again. I did it again. Alright. That's my bad. We're just gonna take it slow now. Slow and steady. Alright, you know what? That was just funny. That one, yeah, I don't know. I cannot, you know. I cannot talk that one right. That was just a weird mistake. But yeah, those happen. Not every run is gonna be a PB pace, obviously. So coming up, we're in the huge winds, also known as cliff face, where these winds are kind of preventing us from doing anything but dashing. But whenever we're in a hyper dash, the wind doesn't really do much. So that's really good for us. That's savable. There we go. But there's these snowballs. And if you do it right, you can get some nice cycles with them, or even bounce on the snowball's head. But they're like Oshiros who come from the right, but already past the snowballs. So yeah, that was that. So this was actually pretty good Golden Ridge, if not for that auto-scroller. That's kind of funny. Oh well. That's chapter 4. So if you look at our timer, we're at 13 minutes, which is kind of slow, but the run is around 30 to 35 usually. If you know, if you have a good runner. I don't know. Yeah, I would probably fall into that category. So we're not even halfway in, even though in chapter 5 out of 7. Kind of interesting. So Mirror Temple is a big story chapter, even though we're gonna skip all cutscenes. And it's kind of a maze. We have red bubbles instead of green or blue, which instead of going the distance of one dash, they go all the way until you stop it. And there's these dash platforms, which will move to the other point of their trajectory whenever you dash. And they move quite quickly, which means you can actually use the momentum from them to to transfer that momentum to you and gain a lot of speed, which is what I'm gonna try to do in this room, where there's a really cool strat we call the yeet. Almost got the full strat, but yeah, if I did a correct corner boost there, I would have skipped the next room. But that was still pretty good since we got the half yeet. So that's just what you can do with those dash blocks. We did a nice dev intended shortcut, since usually you would need a key, but now you can use the key for a different secret that we're not gonna explore. You'll have to find out where that is, but it's before this room, I can tell you that. So now, that was the first part of Mirror Temple. Now we're gonna enter the mirror. And we're gonna turn into the Seeker boys. What are they? Seeker? How do they work? Well, they dash, like this, because we can control one. They go through the blocks, and they can hurt you. But yeah, we'll meet them in a few rooms. But first we're gonna skip some cutscenes. So we're in Unraveling, where the real fun begins. And here are the Seekers. So they lock onto your X and Y position, and then chase after you. But what's good about them, that they can actually activate the coin switches. So if we manipulate the Seeker well, aka we do pretty much the same thing every time to get it consistent. I missed him there. You can actually manipulate them to grab the coins for you. And you can also bump on their head, and then they go into their respawn animation, and that respawn animation also breaks these blocks. What was that? But they also collect the coins. Something weird happened there, but we're gonna deal with it as we're done with the unraveling now. And we're into search. So the one thing that I did not mention yet is that you can actually reverse dashes, dash jumps and hypers. So if you dash left and then jump right, you still get the full momentum you would have gotten otherwise. And you can skip this part here with a reverse dash jump after extending it, of course. And just casually skip about 2 minutes of speedrunning. Because normally you would have to grab 2 keys to then get a bubble across, but no, we just skip that because that's slow, obviously. That would take way too long. We don't have time for that. We got a mountain to climb, damn it. Okay, that was interesting, but it worked. Okay, so we're now into the hardest part of the temple, the Theo section. As we carry on Mr. Theo here, our run speed is severely limited, but we can dash. I messed up there. We can do a hyper dash or dash jump and then pick him up and go along our merry way. And it turns out that it's still quite slow, but it's better than nothing. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna use those continuous throw Theo, dash jump, pick him up again. And I missed the ultra dash there. You can even ultra dash into Theo. Like that. And move on. Let's see if I can get this. We can use this dash block to grab Theo. No, okay, I missed it. It's still quite fast. Okay, that was interesting. There we go, that's more like it. But yeah, this part is difficult and it has a bunch of cool movement. So when someone just nails everything first try, that's definitely worth, you know, a little bit of applause in my opinion. So this is the final room. We have some shockwaves here, but if I get the right cycle, there we go. We should be able to get through quite quickly. And that's the mirror temple. So now we're a bit over halfway done with the run, with 2 more chapters to go. 2 of the chapters which just the movement kind of speaks for itself in a lot of ways. But first we have these feathers. This is full analog movement. And if you turn too quickly, you actually slow down. So controller players have a slight advantage over keyboard here. But it is manageable. And now we're coming up to a lake skip. Let's see if we get lake skip. First try, nice. That's a wall bounce on 3 pixels there. That's so that you can actually go around the wall before you hit the spike that's above it. It's kind of tight. Just some more feather movement. And we're gonna meet these Kevin blocks here. Kevin blocks kind of sound like, they used to call them crush blocks, but Kevin, who made the sound for them, you know, that's just too good, so we have to name it after him, of course. Let's see if I can get this. No, I missed it. Too bad. Oh well. So now we're entering hollows. So from this screen on, there's gotta be a bunch of branching paths where you can go up or down. And for the speedrun, there's pretty much an agreed on fastest route. However, the last choice you can make between up and down is actually only like a second difference. So you still see people go down because it's slightly easier to perform, and thus, you know, it's less riskier. Less risky than the up path. But we're gonna go down now. And we're gonna say hello to our friendly pinball bumpers. Who kind of bounce you around and generally just sit in your way, such as pinball bumpers would. So I go bottom here still. We're gonna try to do what's called a bumper boost, where I hold left before hitting the bumper, so we actually skip that second bumper there. Nice. Pretty good. Right, we say hello to Grandma again. Into the falling down. So what you're gonna see here are a few dev intended shortcuts. However, the gist of them being that the floor here in certain spots actually act as checkpoints, so we're not grabbing those. So if I die, which I didn't, thankfully, I would have to go all the way to the top of the room. Water sections, everyone loves those. There we go. And we're gonna do a cool skip here called Badline Boost, where I hyper and then do a small jump, called a bunny hop, to get double the momentum of this block and fly across the room like this. We can actually get all the way to the cutscene trigger. I barely just jumped a little too low. Welcome to the Badline boss fight, where Badline will, on set cycles, shoot energy-like balls and a laser. And each room is deterministic in what kind of attack patterns you're gonna get. So there's no RNG here. Which means you can strategize to your heart's content on how to do each room. Which of course we've done. Resulting in that, not in that death, because each time you hit Badline, you're getting sent back and you get your dash back. But as you can see, I can get control back pretty quickly. So it's usually more a blessing than a burden, in my opinion. Because it beats having to go back to the ground. What was that? What was that? Okay, that was an interesting death. Oh well. So this room has some cool ultras, if I can do them. That's one. There we go. I was kind of getting scared that I couldn't do my strat anymore, but it worked good. Just barely beating the cycle here. It's always kind of spooky. I reversed it too quickly there. I wanted to go for a little swag strat there. Just because I know I'm behind anyway, so we're gonna go for it again. There we go. Got it that time. I did you a favor! You're not a mountain climber. I'm just trying to help you. As we enter the second phase of the fight, where now, instead of the blocks crumbling, they just start moving on their own will. Probably due to Badline's telekinesis or something. But it's fine. You should be just fine with those cycles. There we go. After this is one more room of the fight, which is pretty long, so let's hope we get first try. There we go. And now we're done with the fight. And we level up as the story conflict is resolved. We get our extra powers. We confront ourselves. And now we have 2 dashes. So if you thought the game was fun with 1 dash, imagine how it's gonna look like with 2. As we're done with chapter 6. So one more chapter to go, the longest one of all, with pretty cool strategies and just some cool movement that looks really. I just like how it looks. I think it speaks for itself, but first introduction, of course. We fell down the mountain in chapter 6, and now with our newfound power, we're gonna climb up again with new motivation and energy. And I did not get a wall bounce there. That was interesting. Again. I think I pressed jump too late. Yep. Alright. That's a bummer. Oh well. But we're gonna climb it back up again. So we're gonna start with chapter 6, of course, at the base of the mountain where we fell. And after that you'll actually see all the chapters again, or at least their themes. From 1 until 5, and then after that we have the true summit. So now we're at 0 meters, we're now exiting it and going up to 500 meters, which will be chapter 1. And I just think this part looks pretty cool, so enjoy. Oops. There we go. Slide skip here. Alright, and we're moving on to 1000. So 1000 has the dream blocks again. And what's interesting about the dream blocks is you can actually hyper dash out of them. Which is actually useful now since we have a second dash to dash into the next dream block. So it's a bit of an optimization and I think it just looks cool overall. And it isn't as tight as it looks. Trust me. So far so good. Getting stuck there, kind of annoying. And of course there's these badline orbs at the end that we have to grab to launch us back up to make it through the next section. So that was pretty good for 1000, I should say. It looked pretty cool. So we're back in Resort. And Resort is known for 2 or 3 really long rooms with a bunch of cycle skips, so we're gonna see how they go. And they both involve ultra dashes, the 2 rooms. First one is this one. Barely missed it. Let's try again. Okay. I'm dead here. Not gonna make it. Okay. One more try. Barely didn't make the cycle there, but we're gonna accept it and move on. Because it's quite a hard cycle to get. But occasionally you get it. And here we have some ultra dashes. That was 2 and the 3rd. Very nice. I just love this room. When it works, when it clicks, you know. If it doesn't click, it's horrible. But it clicked. Okay, I kinda need that gem though. Not gonna lie. This is just 1500 showing to me why I should respect it. Because it is tough. And this is the last room. see if I get the cycle strat that I want, and I did get it, so that's nice. But overall, lost a bunch of time there. So this is one of the make or break sections. 1500 was. We're taking the berry route here. It's not exactly the intended way to get up here. Normally you're expected to use the screen transition. But we ain't about that life. Ooh, what was that? I wanted to do an ultra. Influence the snowball cycle there, because it still locks onto your Y position. And an auto scroller. You know what that means. We're gonna skip it. There we go. However, this auto scroller we can't really skip. So just as in Golden Ridge, there's two auto scrollers, one of which we can skip and one of which we make dumb deaths happen. Interesting. One optimization here. Oh, I felt like I wasn't gonna make it. There we go, that's better. Alright, so yeah, that's kind of a slow section. But I like how 2500 looks usually. So let's see if we can get all our desired strats so that it actually looks as cool as I want it to look. Ooh, that was a corner oof. We're gonna skip some section down below by doing nice wall jumps there. And then retrying, because this is the only intentional death of the run, because we keep the key on retrying. That's really nice. So we can skip that part down below. We call this tight fit or thread the needle. And now we have door skip. And we got it. And we're on to 3000. The final part of the game. For the any percent category at least. So the first part we're gonna go up a lot, so you see me using these wall bounces a lot already. Especially in the next section. Which has a downdraft, which it means that gravity is effectively increased. And we kind of slide off walls when we hold them. So we have to use effective wall bounces in order to stay fast. Otherwise it's just kind of slow. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's better. I knew that would happen. That's why I don't like that strat. That's why I do that. What was that? Come on. Okay, we actually made it, but then we didn't. There you go. That was weird. So now we went from downdraft back to updraft. So now we're just really floaty and slow. So there's a few flags, of which 14 and 13 are the two, that are kind of ridiculous and kind of slow, and if you die here you lose a lot of time. So let's not do that. So yeah, these flags serve as checkpoints, by the way. Should have probably mentioned that, but we're gonna make that, right? Yeah. A bit too close for comfort, honestly. Nice neutral wall jump here to get around the spike. A spike maze here with some dash refreshers. And we're on to flag 10. I was about to say chapter 10, that was kind of weird. And on to flag 6, where the last part of updraft is here. And then we're on to the final screen of the game. And time. So 36:25. You can see I lost almost 3 minutes, but of course I expect that time to go down once a few of the mistakes went away. And I think this was still a good showcase of the run, and it can go to as low as 30 minutes or even below 30 if you're the world record holder. 52 deaths, so that's still a lot, but again, I think this showcased the run well. I think it would be great to have feature Celeste in the marathon, and this was my submission video for Celeste any % current patch. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you at ESA. We're not going to do chorus, we'll look at yeah. So yeah, see ya.